Chosen ones. Have you noticed how they can't stop watching you now? How they're doing a double take because you've become a force they can't ignore? You've been through trials that would shatter most, but here you are, standing on the other side of them. The wounds, though still faintly aching, have closed. You wear your scars differently now, not like reminders of pain, but like lines of wisdom carved deep into stone. You may not feel the full weight of your transformation yet, but others sense it. They sense it in the way your presence silences a room without effort, how your very breath seems to carry a weight and stillness that wasn't there before. They notice how you move, calmer, unhurried, as if you've glimpsed something they haven't, and they can't help but stare. The way you carry yourself has changed. Your steps are firmer now, leaving imprints, as if the ground itself acknowledges your passage. Each movement speaks of resilience, of having walked through fire and emerged not burned but tempered. When you speak, it's not just words that people hear. It's the echo of everything you've overcome, a sound that lingers longer than it should, reverberating in their minds. You speak with a gravity that forces others to listen, even if they don't know why. They see you, even when you're still learning to see yourself. There's a glow to you now, not the blinding, boastful light of those who have never known hardship, but a softer, more profound glow, like embers still smoldering after a storm. It's quiet, but undeniable. The world around you responds. People stop in their tracks, not out of fear or admiration, but because something within them recognizes your evolution. They sense the battles you fought, though they were never there to witness them. And in a way, they respect you more for it. You've become a mirror, reflecting their own unhealed wounds and unresolved struggles. They may not understand it consciously, but they're drawn to you, captivated by the contrast of strength and vulnerability that now defines you. You embody something they yearn for: survival, transformation, a path forward. You've become what they crave but fear becoming, the one who has faced the abyss and returned forever changed. Your resilience is undeniable. Even in moments of doubt when you falter, the world around you does not see the uncertainty. They only see a figure who has weathered storms and now stands rooted, unshakable. Your healing is not a silent personal journey anymore. It's visible, unavoidable. People can't help but take note of it, and whether they admit it or not, they envy it. They envy the peace that radiates from you, a peace you may not fully recognize in yourself, but one that others can sense from miles away. It's not just that you've changed, it's how you've changed. The cracks that once felt like weakness have become the pathways where your strength now flows. Where others would have broken, you've expanded. Where others would have crumbled, you've built. And though you may still feel tender in places, unsure of your footing at times, others see you as something solid, something unbreakable. You're a monument to what's possible, a living testament to resilience, even if you can't yet grasp the full magnitude of it yourself. People see the new you, the healed, thriving version of you, and they're forced to reckon with it. Because in seeing you, they're forced to confront their own unhealed fractures. You make them question what they've been running from. You make them believe in transformation, even when they're too afraid to embrace it for themselves. The atmosphere bends to you, not because you seek control, but because you've mastered something far more elusive: yourself. Every challenge, every pain, every heartbreak has been absorbed into the very essence of who you are now. It doesn't break you, it fuels you. And they can't help but feel the pulse of that energy when they stand near. Even in moments when you falter, the world around you does not see weakness. They see the unrelenting resilience, the way you bend but refuse to break, the way you absorb the impact and then rise again. They see the flickers of something otherworldly, something untouchable in the way you carry your past, not as a burden, but as armor. Your journey is evident in every movement, every breath, every quiet moment where the weight of your experiences mingles with the profound peace that has now taken root in your soul. People don't understand how you are not crushed, how you still rise. They feel the pull of it, the mystery of it, because it defies logic. It defies the laws of what they've been taught to believe about hardship and healing. You are the living paradox, pressed but not crushed, perplexed but not in despair. You've become the embodiment of survival, not just physically, but spiritually. They see it in the way you stand taller, walk straighter, and speak with the quiet authority of someone who has seen both the abyss and the stars. There's no hiding it anymore. The change in you is as vast as the horizon and as deep as the ocean floor. The world may never fully grasp the magnitude of what you've endured, but they feel it. You make them question their own limitations, their own struggles. Because if you can rise from the ashes, who's to say they can't too? Your transformation is the proof they didn't know they needed. You no longer silence that inner voice, the one that has whispered to you in moments of doubt and confusion, urging you to listen, to trust what you know deep inside. You've felt its power growing, that pull in your gut that no longer waits for permission to be acknowledged. The moment you decided to honor it, to let your intuition guide you over the noise of others' opinions, the shift began. It wasn't subtle, it was seismic. Something inside you cracked open, releasing a light that had been buried too long under layers of doubt, fear, and compromise. Now, that light surrounds you, undeniable and fierce. People see it before they even hear your voice. You've become untouchable, not because you've hardened, but because you've become so certain, so aligned with your true self, that nothing false can penetrate your space. Your boundaries are no longer fragile, wavering lines. They are walls of flame, burning with a force that demands respect. And those who once overstepped, those who treated your kindness as weakness, now hesitate before approaching. They feel the fire before they come close, and they know instinctively that this is not the place to cross. You've stopped explaining yourself. The need for validation from others has withered, like a plant starved of the attention it once demanded. You no longer seek approval because you know the truth of who you are. Your intuition has become your compass, and you follow it without question, without apology. When others try to sway you, when they cast doubt on your choices or second-guess your path, you stand firm, unmoved by their uncertainty. It's not that you no longer hear them. It's that their voices have lost the power to shake you. Your inner voice roars louder. People notice even if they can't articulate what has changed. There's something magnetic about you now, something that draws them in but keeps them at a respectful distance. It's in the way you move, the quiet confidence that radiates from you like heat off the sun. They can sense that you've set new terms for engagement, that access to you is no longer a given but something earned, and that shift makes them want it more. They watch from afar, trying to figure out what has altered, why the person they thought they knew is now someone who no longer bends to their expectations. Your energy speaks for you now, louder than any words could. It pulses through every interaction, a force field that both attracts and repels. The ones who align with your growth feel drawn closer, while those who cling to the old version of you find themselves slipping away, unable to meet the new standards you've set. This isn't about exclusion. It's about preservation. You've learned that protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's essential. And so, the walls you've built are not barriers, but shields, crafted to guard the sanctity of the space you've reclaimed. You are glowing because you've remembered who you are, and the world is adjusting to this new reality. They can see that something profound has shifted, even if they can't quite understand it. They feel the force of your intuition, the way it sharpens your decisions and fortifies your boundaries. You've become a mirror, reflecting their own fears and insecurities, but also their potential. They know, without you saying a word, that this new you is here to stay. The glow is permanent, the boundaries immovable, and your intuition, now fully unleashed, will never again be silenced. You've stopped the endless cycle of bending yourself to fit the expectations of others. The days of people-pleasing are over, and the moment you decided to step out of that trap, your energy shifted. You no longer stretch yourself thin for the comfort of those around you. The version of you that once contorted to meet their needs has vanished, leaving behind a presence that is unapologetically whole. This is why you stand out now, because the light within you no longer dims for anyone else's convenience. It shines without restraint, and people can't help but notice. They see someone who no longer seeks approval, no longer craves permission to exist in their fullest form. They see strength, radiance, and peace, because you've stopped sacrificing your essence for the sake of their fleeting comfort. And the breadcrumbs, they no longer suffice. You've rejected the half-hearted offerings that once held you captive. Whether in relationships, friendships, or life itself, you've drawn a line in the sand, and the message is clear. Your worth demands fullness, not fragments. If they can't bring their whole selves to the table, you're not interested. This boundary, forged in self-respect, has given you a power that others can sense. It's not something they can quantify or even put into words, but they feel the shift. You no longer entertain their scraps of energy, the half-efforts that once left you waiting in the shadows. You've stepped into the light, and now the spotlight follows you, illuminating a path that only those who match your energy can walk. Your realization that it is not your duty to heal the world has set you free. For so long, you carried the weight of others' pain, believing that somehow it was your responsibility to fix them, to mend what was broken in them. But that weight has lifted, and in its place is a deeper understanding. You are not the savior of anyone but yourself. You've stopped trying to solve problems that aren't yours to solve. The healing you've been pouring into yourself is the reason people are drawn to you now. They see someone who has chosen to heal from the inside out, someone who no longer needs to stretch themselves across the wounds of others to feel whole. Your wholeness is self-sustained, and that makes you shine in ways they can't ignore. And now, you've mastered the art of detachment. Letting go has become your superpower. You no longer cling to things and people that do not serve your growth. You've released the need for external validation, for the approval of those who would rather hold you back than see you rise. Detachment is not coldness but clarity. It's the ability to see what serves you and what doesn't, and to walk away from what no longer aligns with the person you are becoming. This release has opened doors you didn't even know existed. Your newfound peace is unshakable because you've learned that not everything and everyone is meant to travel with you. This is why you're stepping into a new level of peace, because you've stripped away everything that once weighed you down. You've unburdened yourself from the expectations, the breadcrumbs, the duty to heal what isn't yours to heal. And now, with nothing left to hinder you, your energy glows brighter than ever, drawing in only what is worthy of your radiance. You've changed, and there's no hiding it. The people who left you behind thought they'd walked away from a version of you that was shattered, fragile, easy to dismiss. But what they didn't understand is that you were not broken. You were in the process of becoming something greater. They look at you now, and they can't comprehend how you've transformed into someone they barely recognize. The quiet person they underestimated has emerged with a strength that shakes the very ground they stand on. You no longer blend into the background of their lives. Now, your presence commands a gravity that pulls their attention, whether they want to give it or not. Your transformation is unavoidable. It's woven into every gesture, every word, every step you take. People notice you before you even speak, sensing that something is different, that something has changed. They see a version of you that no longer bends to accommodate their expectations. You've stepped outside the mold they tried to fit you into, shattering the image they had of you. They can't help but watch, stunned by your growth, because it forces them to acknowledge that they were wrong. You are not the person they thought you were, and now they must reckon with the undeniable truth of your evolution. You were left behind when they thought you were broken, but now they see someone unbreakable. Where they thought there was weakness, there is only power. Where they expected you to crumble, you've rebuilt yourself stronger than before. The cracks they left in you have been filled with gold, turning every scar into a symbol of resilience. They can't help but stare, because the glow of your transformation outshines anything they could have imagined. They see you now, and they can't deny that you are something far beyond what they ever believed you could become. It's not just your appearance that's changed, it's your energy, your essence. There's a force around you now that didn't exist before, a power that was born out of your pain but now radiates from within you. People feel it when they stand in your presence, the undeniable weight of your growth. It presses against them, making them uncomfortable because it challenges everything they thought they knew about you. They doubted you, dismissed you, left you in the shadows, and now your light blinds them. They are forced to confront the fact that you've risen far beyond where they left you. You don't have to say a word. Your transformation speaks for itself. It demands attention in ways that can't be ignored. The people who doubted you, who overlooked you, are now drawn to the very thing they tried to escape. They are witnessing a rebirth, a resurgence of power, and they can't look away. You've changed so profoundly that they are compelled to take notice, to see the truth of who you are now, and it shakes them. They can no longer deny the depth of your growth, the sheer force of your transformation. The person they left behind is gone. In their place stands someone unrecognizable, a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and untouchable. You've risen from the ashes of who you were, and now your transformation is written in every step you take, every breath you draw. It is undeniable, unstoppable, and the world must take notice. You've reached a point where the opinions of others no longer shape your choices, and this shift is as powerful as the shifting of tectonic plates beneath the earth. You are no longer swayed by the fleeting thoughts of those who never understood your depth. Their judgments, once heavy chains around your spirit, have snapped. What was once a prison of self-doubt has crumbled, and in its place stands a fortress built from the purest foundation of all, self-trust. This is why people are looking at you differently now, why they can't quite figure out what has changed. You have freed yourself from the tyranny of their expectations. Your opinion, your truth, now reigns supreme in your life. And people notice. They see it in the way you move through the world, unburdened by the weight of what they think. You've become a force of nature, untethered from the need to be understood, approved of, or validated. You no longer seek their praise or approval to define your worth. You've learned that only your own voice matters, and that revelation has transformed you. It's undeniable, almost jarring to those who used to think they could predict your every move, who thought they knew you well enough to hold sway over your choices. You have finally learned to trust yourself above all others. You make decisions based not on what will make others comfortable, not on what will appease the crowd, but on what makes you happy. And that self-assurance radiates out from you like a shockwave, sending ripples through the lives of those who once took you for granted. They can't quite understand it, but they feel it. It makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. They see someone who no longer asks for permission, who doesn't wait for consensus, but who steps forward with a conviction that can't be shaken. Your newfound clarity and judgment is what makes you stand out now. You are no longer a reflection of others' expectations, no longer a mirror for their desires. You've become your own force, a gravitational pull that draws others in, but on your terms. They look twice because they're not used to seeing someone so in tune with their own inner voice, someone so unapologetically aligned with their own path. There's a quiet power in this. It isn't loud or brash, but it commands attention because it is rare. The world is not used to seeing someone like you, someone who has stripped away the need for external validation and chosen to live by their own standards. And this is why they can't stop watching. They sense that something has shifted within you, something they can't quite put their finger on, but that makes them pause. You're no longer predictable, no longer bending to fit their mold. Your freedom makes them uncomfortable because it reflects the chains they still wear. You've become a reminder of what it looks like to trust oneself fully, and that is unsettling to those who still live within the confines of others' opinions. You have become your own compass, your own North Star, and that kind of power, the power of true self-trust, is magnetic. They may not understand it, but they can't help but notice. You are no longer waiting for permission, for validation, or for someone else to acknowledge your worth. You know it. Every decision you make, every step you take, is a declaration of your power. You've learned to trust yourself in ways they will never understand. That trust is what sets you apart, what makes you glow with a quiet confidence that demands respect. You've built yourself from the ashes, And now you walk with a radiance that is impossible to ignore. Others may watch, may be envious, or may try to draw close. But the truth is clear. Your story is yours, and no one else holds the pen. Now is the time to share that story. Share how you've risen, how you've refused to be defined by the limits others placed on you. Let them see not just the glow, but the journey that ignited it. Your story isn't just a victory. It's a testament to your resilience, to the power that comes from trusting yourself. So let your voice be heard. Share your rise. The world is watching, and it's time they understood the full depth of your transformation.